If you really want money to show up in your life, stop trying to be seen. Start doing the work no one talks about. The truth is, most people lose before they even begin. They spend all their time telling the world what they're going to do, hoping for praise, waiting for motivation, but nothing changes. Why? Because the real shift, the one that brings money, freedom, and peace, starts in private. You don't need to talk about your plans. You don't need to tell anyone what you're building. You just need to do it, quietly, daily, with full focus. This isn't about being flashy. This is about taking back your time, upgrading your habits, and creating structure that brings results, without needing a single person to notice. While others stay busy showing off, you'll be moving in silence and building something real. If you're ready to stop wasting time and start seeing money flow into your life, this is your moment. Watch closely. This is where the change begins. Chapter 1. Take full control of your time without telling anyone. You know, if you really want money to flow into your life, not just trickle in, but come in steadily, freely, in a way that gives you peace of mind, there's one change you need to make. It's not a loud change. It's not something you put on display. It's something you do in private. You take control of your time. Not in theory, not someday, today. Taking control of your time means deciding, once and for all, that every hour matters, every morning, every evening, every small space in between. The truth is, most people let time slip right through their fingers. They waste it scrolling through their phones. They spend it trying to impress others. They kill it with distractions and noise. Then they wonder why money doesn't show up, why success feels out of reach, why they're tired, stuck, and frustrated. But you can do it differently. You don't need to make an announcement about it. You don't need to post online that you're grinding or hustling. You just need to quietly and completely take back your hours. You need to value your minutes like they're worth something, because they are. Time is the seed of wealth. Not just financial wealth, not just financial wealth, mental clarity, peace. You don't get rich with noise. You get rich with clarity. And clarity starts with how you use your day. You can wake up earlier and use that time to learn, think, and plan. Not to look busy, but to actually build something meaningful. That's what makes the difference. Some people get up and go straight into distraction. You can be the one who starts with intention. Nobody has to know you're doing it. They don't need to see your morning routine. They don't have to know you're staying up an extra hour to read or study or build your side income. What they see doesn't matter. What you do in private shapes your life in public. That's the secret. If you keep handing out your time for free, to entertainment, to gossip, to doing what doesn't matter, then don't expect money to stick around. It won't. Money follows structure. It follows discipline. It follows quiet control. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be intentional. 1 hour reclaimed from distraction is an hour invested in your future. The reason most people never change their life is because they never change their schedule. They keep saying they want more money, more freedom, more options, but they keep doing the same thing with their time. They get lost in habits that bring them nothing but stress. They keep themselves busy, but they don't move forward. Don't fall for that trap. Take a hard look at how you're spending your time. Not just the big blocks. Look at the small spaces too. What do you do when you're alone? What do you do when you're bored? What do you do when nobody's watching? Because those little moments, those invisible hours, they're the ones that shape your life. If you want to earn more, live better, and feel proud of yourself, it starts with structure. Quiet structure. You don't have to make noise about your new plan. Just act on it. Use your mornings better. Stop wasting your evenings. Guard your weekends like they matter, not for working non-stop, but for living intentionally. Read, reflect, write down your goals, review your progress. Study people who are where you want to be. Learn their mindset. Don't just admire their results. Understand their process. And do it on your own time, in your own way, because when you quietly take control of your time, your whole life starts to feel different. You stop being overwhelmed, you stop feeling lost, you stop reacting and start creating. You become the kind of person who gets results, not by accident, but by design. You see, there's no secret trick to getting rich, no hidden shortcut. But there is a rhythm to success. And that rhythm is found in how you manage your days. Rich people don't just have money, they have systems, they have routines, they protect their time. They don't give away their mornings to laziness. They don't give away their evenings to useless scrolling. They understand that time is the foundation for everything they want to build. If you're serious about seeing your life improve, you must treat your time like it's your greatest resource. You don't need to explain yourself to anyone. You don't need to make a show of it. Just get serious. Just get consistent. Make your days count, one by one, even if nobody sees it. Even if nobody claps for you. Even if nobody believes in you yet. You don't owe anyone a show. You owe yourself a result. Spend less time telling people what you plan to do. Spend more time actually doing it. Spend less time trying to convince others that you're changing. Spend more time quietly changing. You don't need approval, you need alignment. You need a plan that works. And it starts with your time. If you can start reclaiming your hours, your priorities will begin to shift. You'll stop chasing things that drain you. You'll stop agreeing to things that waste your energy. You'll stop surrounding yourself with noise, and you'll start building something real, quietly, consistently, powerfully. The more control you take over your time, the more control you take over your future. And if you stay with it long enough, if you stay focused and steady, the money will come, not just a little, but more than you've seen before, because money follows clarity, it follows action, it follows those who take themselves seriously. So take yourself seriously, in private. Discipline your hours, sharpen your focus, cut out what's unnecessary. Do the work when no one is watching, and when the results begin to show, you won't need to say a word. The world will notice, and so will your bank account. Chapter 2. Build your future quietly while they stay distracted. Most people spend their days watching others. They scroll, they gossip, they complain. They follow other people's lives, but never stop to ask themselves where their own is going. That's the reality. It's easy to get distracted. The world is loud. The pressure to fit in is heavy. But if you want something different, something better, you have to be willing to move in a different direction. Quietly, on your own terms. While they're distracted, you must stay focused. While they waste their time, you must protect yours. While they talk, you must build. It doesn't have to be loud. In fact, the more quiet you are, the more powerful your moves become. You don't need to make a big announcement about your goals. You don't need to explain why you're changing. Just start. Decide what kind of future you want and begin to shape it. Every small decision you make today is part of that future. The way you spend your time, the way you treat your body, the way you use your mind, it's all connected. Every hour you invest in your growth becomes a brick in the foundation of your future. The world is full of people who want things, but never work for them. They chase shortcuts, they wait for luck, they hope something magical happens. But you, if you're serious, You can't live like that. You have to move with intention. You have to stay focused, even when no one else understands what you're doing. You don't need their understanding. You don't need their approval. You need discipline. You need consistency. You need to make a decision that you're going to build something real, and that you'll do it even if no one claps for you along the way. This is the price of real growth. You trade comfort for commitment. You trade popularity for purpose. You show up even when it's hard, and you stay with it even when it's lonely. Because here's the truth. If you can stay focused while others are distracted, you will move ahead faster than you ever imagined. Most people live on autopilot. They react to everything. They let other people control their thoughts, their emotions, their goals. They're constantly checking what everyone else is doing, and in the process, they lose themselves. You must decide not to live that way. If you want to build a future that makes you proud, then your attention is your greatest weapon. You have to protect it. You have to choose what you allow into your mind. Most people don't guard their attention. They let anything in. Noise, negativity, nonsense. They fill their head with stories that don't serve them. And then they wonder why they feel lost, confused, tired. It's not the world that's the problem. It's the lack of focus, the inability to block out what doesn't matter, the unwillingness to let go of distractions. But if you can sit quietly with your goals and take them seriously, you're already ahead. If you can do the work without the need to show it off, you're already growing. If you can stay committed while they stay comfortable, you're already winning. Not because you're better than them, but because you're aligned with something real, something lasting. Success doesn't come to the loudest. It comes to the most focused. The ones who keep showing up when the room is empty. The ones who sacrifice pleasure today for progress tomorrow. The ones who are okay with not being noticed for a while because they know the reward isn't in being seen. It's in becoming strong. You don't need to rush. You don't need to be perfect, but you do need to start. Start waking up earlier and using that time wisely. Start learning skills that can pay you for life. Start building habits that make your future easier. Start saying no to what doesn't help you grow. Every step you take matters. It may not look impressive to anyone else, but it's not supposed to. It's not for them. It's for you. For the future you're creating. For the life you're choosing. Most people are too caught up in watching others to ever do this. They think they have time, they think they'll get serious later, but later becomes never, and time runs out. Don't let that be you. Start moving now, quietly, strongly, with purpose. You don't need a big audience, you don't need a big break, you just need small actions taken every single day. Actions that line up with the future you say you want. Don't waste your energy trying to convince people. Don't get distracted trying to prove anything. Let your work speak for itself. Let your focus separate you from the rest. The people around you might not understand at first. They might question your silence. They might notice you're not as available, not as reactive, not as engaged in what they're doing. That's okay. That's a good sign. It means you're taking your power back. It means you're no longer running in circles. It means you've found something worth building, and you're giving it your full attention. Keep going. Build quietly. Improve daily. Protect your peace. And one day, while they're still stuck in the same distractions, you'll look up and realize you're not where you used to be. You'll have more clarity, more strength, more freedom, not because someone handed it to you, but because you earned it, day by day, in silence, with discipline. Your future is waiting for you to get serious. Not in theory, but in action. Not just in thoughts, but in real steps. Stop wasting time on what other people are doing. Start focusing on what you need to do. Don't talk about your vision, live it. Don't hope for the best, work for it. Don't compare yourself to anyone, compete with who you were yesterday. The world rewards those who move with purpose, who stay consistent when no one's watching, who invest their energy in progress, not performance. You have the power to be that person. You don't need to be loud, you don't need to be popular, you just need to be disciplined. Use your time wisely, use your energy wisely, use your life wisely, because when you build in silence, results speak louder than anything else ever could. And the ones who once laughed, doubted, or ignored you, they'll see it. They'll see the change. They'll see the growth. They'll see the strength you built in silence. But by then, you won't care about proving anything. You'll be too busy living the life you built. Chapter 3. Study successful people in silence and apply it fast. If you want to move ahead in life, if you truly want to change your financial situation and create something that lasts, there's one thing you must learn to do. Observe people who are doing it right and do it quietly. Not with envy, not with ego, but with full attention and honesty. Success always leaves clues. You don't need to reinvent everything. You need to pay attention to those who are already where you want to be. Watch how they live, how they think, how they use their time. Not for the sake of copying their personality, but to understand their mindset, the way successful people carry themselves, the way they make decisions, how they manage pressure. All of that is available to you if you're willing to learn without making noise about it. You don't need to let people know you're studying someone. You don't have to share it online. You don't need to talk about it in every conversation. What you need is quiet focus and fast action. Don't spend years watching and never doing. That's what most people do. They collect inspiration but never build anything with it. They study but they stall. They take notes but never make moves. That's not learning. That's hiding. If you're serious about progress, every lesson you gather should be applied quickly. Action is how you honor the information. It's not enough to know what to do. You must do it. Look around you. Most people are watching others to judge or compare. They're not watching to grow. They get distracted by status, lifestyle, noise. You have to rise above that. When you look at someone who's successful, don't get lost in how perfect their life looks. Dig deeper. How do they think? How do they stay consistent? How do they handle setbacks? That's where the real insight is. Not in the image they present, but in the discipline behind it. That's what you want to learn from. Not the result, but the process. Not the spotlight, but the steps they took before anyone was watching. Real growth doesn't come from watching everyone. It comes from locking in on a few people you respect and understanding what they do differently. Find mentors. They don't need to know you personally. Their books, their videos, their ideas, that can be enough if you're focused. Pick someone who's earned what you want and observe with humility. No judgment, no overthinking. Just learn. Absorb, apply, and apply fast. Because speed matters. Not reckless speed, but fast decisions followed by real action. Don't wait until you feel ready. Don't wait for permission. If you read something useful today, use it today. If you learn a strategy that could help your finances, apply it immediately. If you hear something that sharpens your mindset, live it right now. That's how you grow, by turning ideas into actions quickly. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to move. While others are debating, questioning, doubting, you are learning in silence and doing in silence. That's how winners operate. They don't waste time showing everyone what they're doing, they just do it. They don't need to broadcast their goals. They're too busy working on them. When you study someone successful and apply what you learn, your results start speaking louder than your words ever could. This process takes maturity. You have to put your ego aside. You have to accept that someone knows more than you. You have to be open to unlearning some of your habits. You have to be willing to take honest feedback from life and do something with it. Growth doesn't come from pretending you already know everything. It comes from having the humility to say, this person has something to teach me, and I'm ready to learn. Sometimes you'll see something that challenges your beliefs. That's good. That's where change begins. Don't ignore it. Don't reject it just because it's uncomfortable. If a successful person handles stress differently than you do, pay attention. If they think long-term when you usually think short-term, listen to that. If they manage money with more care and purpose, learn from it. That discomfort is growth knocking on your door. Now, don't confuse studying others with losing your own identity. This isn't about copying behavior blindly. It's about understanding the principles they live by and applying those principles in a way that works for you. You don't need to become someone else. You need to become the best version of yourself. And you do that by sharpening your habits, your thinking, your decisions, all influenced by those who've walked the path before you. When you make this a daily practice, quiet observation followed by consistent action, you'll notice something powerful. Your confidence grows, not because you're faking it, but because you've earned it. You've done the work. You've taken the lessons and turned them into progress. That's the kind of confidence that stays with you. You won't need applause. You won't need validation. You'll be too focused on the next step. And over time, you'll become the one others want to study. Not because you're trying to be a role model, but because your life reflects results. That's what real leadership looks like. Quiet strength, daily discipline, visible growth. You started as the student, you stayed consistent, and now you're building a future that speaks for itself. So study the right people, learn in silence, apply what works, leave the rest. Don't get caught in the trap of collecting knowledge without using it. The gap between knowing and doing is where dreams die. Close that gap. Be the one who moves. Be the one who tries. Be the one who shows what's possible when you respect the wisdom of others and use it well. You don't need to announce your journey. You don't need to prove your hunger. Just start learning quietly and changing your behavior quickly. That alone separates you from most people, because while they're still talking about what they want to do, you'll already be living it. Not because you had more talent, but because you had more focus. You respected the path, you honored the work, you applied the lessons. And that's how money starts flowing, not through noise, not through luck, through silent learning and fast execution. That's the mindset that transforms everything. Chapter 4. Master one skill deeply, without sharing your plans. One of the greatest decisions you will ever make is to stop chasing everything and start mastering one thing. Not 10 skills at once, not every opportunity that flashes in front of you, just one. One skill that can completely change your life if you give it your full attention. One thing you can do so well that people can't ignore the results. But here's the key. You do it quietly. You don't need to announce it. You don't need to let people know what you're working on. You don't need to tell the world your plan. Just pick the skill, focus on it, and dive in deeper than you ever have. Most people are scattered. They move from one thing to another. They try something for a week and then jump to the next idea. They don't stay with anything long enough to get good at it. That's why they stay stuck. That's why they feel. That's why they don't see progress. because they never commit to depth. But the people who change their lives, the people who create value, build wealth and earn freedom, those people go deep. They don't dabble, they master. Mastery takes time, and it takes silence. It takes hours of focused effort without applause. It takes repetition when no one is watching. It takes patience because results don't come right away. That's where most people quit. They expect progress without consistency. They want reward without real work. But if you're serious, you won't be like most people. You'll choose your skill. You'll create a schedule, and you'll practice every single day, quietly, without bragging, without posting, without needing praise. Because what matters most isn't who sees your journey. What matters is how far you're willing to go without needing attention. Real growth happens in the quiet. When you're sitting with your work, pushing through the frustration, doing it again and again until it clicks. That's the part no one sees, and that's the part that changes everything. You don't need to chase everything. You don't need to prove anything. You just need to become excellent at something that matters. Maybe it's learning how to manage money. Maybe it's communication. Maybe it's selling. Maybe it's coding, speaking, design, fitness, writing. Whatever it is, choose it because it aligns with your long-term goals. Choose it because it builds your future. Then lock in. Shut out distractions. Stop comparing yourself. And work like it matters, because it does. In the beginning, it might feel slow. You might not see results right away, but that's not a reason to stop. That's the process, doing what it's supposed to do. The early phase is where you learn discipline. It's where you build your foundation. Keep going. If you stay with it, day after day, you'll start to notice small improvements. You'll make fewer mistakes. You'll start to understand patterns. You'll feel more confident. And all of this happens without making noise. You don't need validation. You need progress. The work will pay off, but only if you stay committed to the process. Not halfway in, not whenever it feels good. Fully in, every day, even when no one sees it, even when it's uncomfortable, especially then. There's something powerful about knowing exactly what you're working on. While others jump from one trend to another, you're grounded, you're focused. You're moving forward in one direction. That kind of clarity gives you energy. It gives you momentum. You wake up with purpose. You start thinking differently. You make better decisions because you're not scattered. You're building something real. That's what changes your life. You don't need to share your plans to feel accountable. You don't need to tell people your goals to feel motivated. Let your progress be private. Let your improvement be enough for you. The world doesn't need to know what you're building. It will see the results in time, and when it does, you won't have to say a word. This kind of focus is rare. That's why it works. Because most people are busy trying to look successful instead of doing the work that makes them successful. They want instant results, they want constant attention, but none of that creates value. Value comes from depth. It comes from doing something better than most people are willing to do it. That's what makes you valuable in the marketplace. That's what makes people pay attention, not noise, not hype, mastery. You can't master anything if you're always distracted. You have to say no to things that don't help you grow. You have to protect your time like it matters. You have to train yourself to stay in the work, especially when your emotions try to pull you out. That's where strength is built. That's where real confidence comes from, not from pretending you're good, but from actually becoming good. And when you've mastered something, really mastered it, you can feel it. Not because someone else told you, but because you know. You've lived the process. You've earned the skill. You've turned something difficult into something you can do with excellence. That's a different level of confidence. It's not fake, it's not borrowed, it's built. Mastery opens doors, it builds your reputation, it gives you leverage. But most importantly, it gives you freedom. Because once you've mastered one skill, you can use it to create value anywhere. You're no longer depending on luck or chance. You've built something that works. The best part is, no one needs to know how hard you worked to get there. You'll know. And that's enough. You'll know what it took. You'll remember the hours you spent, the moments you wanted to quit but didn't, the times you were tired but kept going. That's your power. That's your story. You're not here to impress people, you're here to improve. You're not here to explain your plan, you're here to follow through on it. You're not here to collect likes, you're here to earn results. So pick your skill, go all in, turn down the noise, lock in your schedule. Show up every day, measure your progress, make adjustments, and keep going. Quietly, consistently, without excuses, without shortcuts, without needing anyone to see it. And when you look back, you'll see how far you've come. You'll see how much has changed, not just in your skill, but in your character. You'll be stronger, sharper, more focused, and you'll have something valuable in your hands, something you can use to build the life you want. All because you made a choice to master one skill and keep your plans to yourself. Not to hide, but to stay focused. Not to seek attention, but to earn freedom. And that's a choice worth making.
Chapter 5. Make small money moves that nobody can notice yet. Most people wait for the perfect time to start fixing their finances. They wait until they make more money. They wait until the pressure gets unbearable. They wait until it becomes an emergency. But the truth is, the best financial changes start quietly and early. They don't begin with a big announcement. They begin with small steps that seem too simple to matter. You don't need a huge breakthrough. You don't need to win the lottery. You need to make smart decisions right now that don't look impressive, but build power over time. The best money moves aren't loud. They're not flashy. They're quiet actions that you do in private. Nobody needs to know that you're paying off a little debt every week. Nobody needs to see that you've started saving a few dollars every day. Nobody claps for you when you skip buying things you don't need. But those are the exact choices that shape your future. While others are showing off what they bought, you're building stability. While they're spending to be seen, you're choosing freedom behind the scenes. It starts with awareness. Look at your money without emotion. No excuses, no guilt, just honesty. Ask yourself what's going out, what's coming in, and what you're doing with the gap. Most people don't track it because they don't want to face it. But when you track your spending, even in small amounts, you start to feel in control again. You can't change what you ignore. And when it comes to money, what you ignore grows into stress. What you manage becomes peace. You don't need to change everything overnight. Start with one small habit. Maybe you skip eating out once a week and save that money instead. Maybe you cancel something you don't really use. Maybe you open a savings account and start moving money into it every Friday, even if it's just a little. These moves are simple. They don't get attention, but they build a new pattern in your life. And that pattern becomes a habit. That habit becomes strength. Small money moves matter more than most people think, because they prove something to you. They prove that you're not helpless. They prove that you can act with discipline, and over time they add up. That money you saved quietly, it becomes an emergency fund. That debt you chipped away at slowly, it disappears. That investing habit you started with a few dollars. It grows. And you did it without applause. You did it without validation. You did it because you care about your future more than you care about being seen. People are often waiting for a big raise before they start managing their money. That's the wrong approach. If you can't manage $100, you won't manage 1,000. If you waste 1,000, you'll waste 10,000. It's not about how much you make. It's about how much you keep and how you use it. Financial discipline is not income-based. It's mindset-based. It's your habits, your priorities, your choices. There is power in doing things silently. Nobody needs to know that you're building wealth. Nobody needs to hear about your budget. The more private your process, the more focused you become. The fewer people involved in your financial habits, the less distraction you deal with. You avoid opinions, you avoid judgment. You just do the work. Start being intentional with your money. Decide what matters to you. What are you willing to give up now so you can have more later? That's the real question. Are you willing to wait? Are you willing to plan instead of react? These aren't things most people want to do. That's why most people stay stuck. But you're not most people. You're here because you're ready to move differently. Build an emergency fund quietly. Nobody needs to know about it. Automate it. Make it non-negotiable. Every paycheck, a piece goes toward it. It doesn't matter how small. What matters is that you build the habit. That habit creates security. And that security allows you to think clearly when life throws something unexpected your way. Next, learn how to delay gratification. That's one of the most valuable money skills you'll ever develop. Not everything you want is worth buying right now. Just because you can afford it doesn't mean it's wise. Hold off on things that don't move you forward. Say no to things that only give you short-term pleasure. Say yes to discipline, and say yes to building options for your future. Another smart move is to learn about investing, not trading, not gambling, real investing. Learn how compound growth works. Understand the basics of putting your money to work. You don't have to start big. You can invest small amounts. Just get started. Learn as you go. Let time do the heavy lifting. The earlier you start, the stronger your position becomes later on. Again, nobody needs to know you're doing this. Do it for yourself. Quietly, steadily. Money doesn't flow to people who make noise. It flows to people who make good decisions. People who stay calm. People who stay consistent. People who aren't busy showing off. They're busy showing up. Every day, even in small ways. Especially in small ways. Because the people who win with money aren't the ones making the biggest moves. They're the ones making the smartest ones again and again. Look at your spending habits. Audit them. Ask yourself if your choices are helping you grow or keeping you stuck. Every purchase is a vote for the kind of life you want. Are you buying comfort or building capacity? Are you buying approval or building freedom? Be honest. And then act on that honesty. Avoid financial comparison. Just because someone else has something doesn't mean you need it. Just because they look rich doesn't mean they are. A lot of people are going broke trying to look successful. Don't fall into that trap. Build your money life on values, not appearances. Build it on what you actually want, not what you think impresses others. The truth is, you won't always feel excited about these moves. You won't always feel motivated to make the smarter choice. That's why discipline matters more than emotion. You have to make the right decision even when it's boring, even when no one notices, even when it feels like it doesn't matter, because it does. It all adds up. Every smart dollar becomes part of your future. Every disciplined decision builds a life you'll be proud of. You have to be willing to look poor now to be free later. You have to be willing to be misunderstood now to be respected later. You have to trust the process enough to keep going, even when no one claps for you. That's the difference. That's what separates those who win from those who keep wishing. So keep making the quiet moves. Keep cutting unnecessary expenses. Keep putting money aside. Keep learning. Keep building. Your future self will thank you, not because you made a big show of it, but because you took control in small ways that most people overlook. And one day, when your life feels different, when your options are wider, when your stress is lower, you'll know exactly how it happened. It wasn't luck. It wasn't magic. It was you, quietly doing the right thing, over and over again. That's how real money flows into your life. Not with noise, but with smart decisions nobody saw coming. Chapter 6. Delete noise from your life and focus in private. Every day your attention is being pulled in dozens of directions. Messages, alerts, opinions, endless content, people trying to be louder than the last. It's non-stop. The noise doesn't come only from outside. It also builds inside your mind. All the things you hear, see, and absorb start to cloud your thinking, and when your mind is crowded, your focus disappears. You stop being clear. You stop being productive. You start reacting instead of creating. You fall into the trap of being busy but not effective. You keep moving, but you're not going anywhere. That's the danger of noise. If you want to do something meaningful with your life, you need to cut that noise off. You need to shut it down without asking for permission. Not for a day. Not just when it gets overwhelming. Every single day you must protect your space and defend your energy. Your mind is a tool, and when it's constantly loaded with unnecessary input, it gets dull. You can't solve problems. You can't think clearly, and you can't move forward with purpose if you're always distracted. Silence is a rare thing today, but that silence is where clarity lives. That silence is where ideas are born. That silence is where confidence gets built. Most people avoid silence because they're afraid of what they'll feel when everything else is turned off. But you need that space if you're serious about growth. The more noise you cut out, the more clearly you start to see what matters. Not every voice deserves your attention. Not every notification needs your response. Not every opinion should reach your mind. You have to be selective. This is your life, not a public event. You decide who gets access. You decide what gets through. You don't owe the world constant availability. You don't need to explain why you're protecting your time. You just need to do it. Start with your environment. Look at where the distractions are coming from. Is it your phone? Is it people around you who always bring stress? Is it content that makes you feel like you're behind? Start removing what doesn't help you grow. Even small changes matter. Put your phone on silent. Delete apps you don't need. Stop checking things that drain your energy. Distance yourself from people who constantly want your attention but offer nothing valuable in return. You're not being rude. You're being responsible. You're choosing your future over short-term noise. Because every minute you spend distracted is a minute you never get back. And once you start protecting your focus, you'll realize how much time you were losing before. You'll feel your mind start to clear. You'll stop rushing. You'll stop feeling overwhelmed. And you'll begin to create from a place of purpose instead of pressure. Focus doesn't need an audience. You don't need to let anyone know that you're zoning in. Just do it. Find time every day where you work without interruption. Block out that time like it's your most important meeting. And it is. It's a meeting with your future. It's where progress gets made. Not with big public moments, but with consistent, quiet effort. Don't confuse noise with value. Just because something's popular doesn't mean it helps you. Just because something's urgent doesn't mean it's important. Learn to separate what matters from what distracts. Every time you say no to something that pulls you away from your path, you're saying yes to the life you're building. This kind of focus creates momentum. Once you feel it, you'll want more of it. You'll start waking up with intention. You'll move through your day with direction. You'll stop chasing everything and start choosing what's essential. And the more you practice this, the stronger you become. Not just with work, but with life. You'll make better decisions. You'll respond instead of react. You'll feel calm in a world that's always loud. Don't be afraid to disappear for a while. Don't be afraid to go quiet. That silence is where you build your strength. That silence is where you train. That silence is where you prepare for the next level. When you come back, you won't need to explain yourself. Your results will speak. Your energy will feel different. Your confidence will be real because it came from the work you did in private. Everything changes when you delete the noise. You stop comparing yourself. You stop rushing through your day. You stop filling the silence with distractions. Instead, you fill it with growth. You fill it with learning. You fill it with action. Not loud action. Focused action. Clean, intentional, and consistent. And when you remove the noise, you start hearing yourself again. Your own thoughts. Your real priorities. Not what the world wants you to care about, what you actually care about. That's when things become clear. You know what to focus on. You know what to let go of. You know who you're becoming. This isn't something you do once. This is a daily discipline. Every day noise will try to creep back in. You have to be stronger than that. You have to remind yourself what you're building and what it's worth. And every time you choose focus over noise, you move one step closer to the life you want. Most people won't do this. They'll stay distracted. They'll stay overwhelmed. They'll keep trying to do everything and end up doing nothing well. But you don't have to live like that. You can live intentionally. You can work with precision. You can choose clarity. And you can do it without anyone needing to see it. When you start living this way, it will feel different. Quieter, yes, but also stronger. You'll feel grounded. You'll feel present. You'll stop chasing noise and start creating results. And one day people will wonder how you did it. They'll ask where your peace came from. They'll want to know how you built such a strong foundation. And you'll know, it was the quiet. It was the focus. It was the decision to cut out what didn't matter, so you could build what did. That's the real power. That's the real secret. Delete the noise. Focus in private. And let your future rise in the silence. Chapter 7. Say no to people quietly and protect your energy. At some point, you have to make a decision about how you're going to live. You can either spend your time pleasing everyone and feeling drained, or you can quietly start saying no and protect your peace. This doesn't require shouting. It doesn't require explaining. It just takes clarity and quiet strength. Not every request deserves your time. Not every invitation is aligned with your priorities. Not every person has the right to your energy. That might sound uncomfortable at first, but the longer you allow yourself to be pulled in every direction, the longer you stay stuck in the same place. People will always want something from you, your attention, your time, your help, your energy. That's part of life. But when you give too much away without boundaries, you lose your center. You feel tired for no clear reason. You feel behind even when you're always busy. You begin resenting the very people you're trying to help. That's when you know something needs to change. You're not selfish for protecting your energy. You're responsible. If you keep saying yes just to be liked or accepted, you're betraying your own progress. You don't have to be loud when you say no. You don't need to make a scene. The most powerful no is the quiet one that comes from knowing exactly what you're working on. You're not avoiding people. You're honoring your path. You're choosing your goals over temporary approval. You're building something that matters, and that means you can't be everywhere for everyone. You can't do it all, and you're not supposed to. Growth takes focus, and focus requires space. Not just physical space, but emotional space, mental space, time to think, to recharge, to act with purpose. Some people won't understand. They're used to you being available all the time. They're used to getting a yes. They're used to having your attention. And when you stop giving it so freely, they might push back. That's okay. You're not responsible for how people respond to your boundaries. You're only responsible for setting them. The more you respect your own energy, the more others will begin to respect it too, or they'll remove themselves. Either way, you win. Start small. You don't need to cut people off completely. You just need to stop agreeing to things that don't feel right. Stop saying yes when you're already overwhelmed. Stop showing up out of guilt. Every time you say yes to something that drains you, you're saying no to something that could build you. You're saying no to your own peace, your own goals, your own time. And that kind of trade over time leaves you burned out and confused about why your life isn't changing. You're allowed to protect your mornings. You're allowed to have quiet time. You're allowed to work on yourself without distractions. You're allowed to leave messages unanswered until you have the energy to respond. You don't owe constant access to anyone. The people who care about you will understand. The ones who don't understand never respected your boundaries to begin with. You don't need to argue. You don't need to prove your point. Let your silence speak for you. Let your consistency explain your shift. It's not about cutting people off to feel superior. It's about recognizing when your energy is being used in ways that no longer help you grow. It's about stepping back and asking yourself what kind of life you want to live and who around you actually supports that. You can be kind and firm at the same time. You can be helpful without being used. You can be available without being drained. There's power in choosing your company wisely. Some people bring clarity. Others bring confusion. Some lift your spirit. Others pull it down. And if you're not intentional, you'll find yourself surrounded by people who have no vision for their own life, and they'll try to shape yours. That's not your job. You're not here to carry everyone. You're not here to fix every situation. You're here to grow. And growing requires protecting your energy like it matters, because it does. It's not always about negative people either. Sometimes good people just ask too much. They're not trying to hurt you. They just don't realize you're at a stage in life where your attention is your most valuable asset. You don't have to shut them out, but you do have to stop giving more than you can afford. Your time is an investment. Your energy is an investment. And where you put those things determines what kind of life you end up with. You're allowed to choose peace over pressure. You're allowed to take a step back and focus on what matters to you. You're allowed to say, "Not right now," without guilt. The people who truly care about you won't be offended. They'll respect your decision. They'll cheer you on even if they don't fully understand it. And over time, the ones who don't belong will distance themselves naturally. You don't have to force it. Just stay focused, stay grounded, stay quiet if you need to, but stay firm. This isn't about isolation. This is about alignment. You're not avoiding people. You're avoiding distractions. You're not being cold. You're being clear. And when your life starts to shift, when your mind is sharper, your progress is real, your energy feels protected, you'll realize this was never about pushing people away. It was about pulling yourself together. You don't owe anyone access to your mind. You don't owe anyone an explanation for why you're focusing. You owe it to yourself to build something real, to live with purpose, to stay on track. And that means sometimes you say no quietly and move forward without guilt. It doesn't make you rude. It makes you committed. And in the end, that commitment will lead to a life you're proud of, one that wasn't shaped by pleasing others, but by choosing what truly matters. Chapter 8. Upgrade your habits when everyone else is wasting time. The fastest way to change your life is to change what you do every day. Not once in a while. Not just when you feel like it. Every single day. And while most people spend their time doing things that bring no real progress, you have the chance to take control of your habits and build a life that actually moves forward. When others are lost in distractions, you can choose to be locked into discipline. When they're chasing comfort, you can commit to growth. That choice, quiet, private, and daily, is what separates people who talk about success from the ones who live it. You don't have to announce that you're making changes. You don't need to convince anyone. Just make your actions louder than your words. The truth is, most people waste more time than they admit. They say they're too busy, but their habits show otherwise. They binge content for hours. They put off what matters. They stay up late doing nothing productive and wake up tired. And then they wonder why life feels stuck. But here's the good news. When you upgrade your habits, you take your power back. You stop waiting for motivation and start building momentum. Quietly, consistently, with intention. Start with your mornings. What you do in the first hour of your day sets the tone for everything else. If you wake up and check your phone, you're already reacting. If you wake up and go straight into nonsense, you've already lost focus. But if you wake up and take control, if you read, write, plan, move your body, or reflect, you're ahead of 90% of people before the day even begins. That one choice, done daily, can change your direction. Don't aim for perfect. Aim for consistent improvement. Upgrade your habits one at a time. If your eating habits are sloppy, start making better choices. If your time management is weak, start planning your day. If you waste time on things that don't matter, start cutting them out. These aren't huge changes. They're small upgrades that build over time. Most people ignore them because they don't look impressive. But you're not doing this to impress anyone. You're doing this to become someone stronger. Look around and you'll see how easily people drift. They say they want better, but their routines don't match their goals. They make promises to themselves and then break them by lunch. They complain about their situation, but never adjust their behavior. Don't fall into that trap. You don't need to criticize them. Just move differently. Quietly, you adjust. Quietly, you improve. Quietly, you commit to the kind of discipline that builds results. Build habits that support the life you want. If you want more clarity, make time for silence and thinking. If you want more energy, create a better sleep routine. If you want financial growth, build a habit of saving, learning, and investing. Everything that looks big from the outside starts with small habits on the inside. You won't always feel motivated. That's normal, but if your habits are strong, you'll keep going even when it's tough. That's what matters most. You don't have to compete with anyone. You just have to stay committed to your own progress. The only question is, are you doing today what your future self will thank you for? If not, it's time to shift. You don't need to overhaul your life in one move. Just start. Pick one habit that needs improvement and focus on it daily. Build it into your routine until it becomes second nature. Then move to the next one. Layer by layer, you become stronger. While others are wasting time on gossip, negativity, or pointless distractions, you're choosing something better. You're choosing to grow, to move with purpose, to live with structure. That choice doesn't get attention. It doesn't get applause. But over time, it creates a life that feels right, not rushed, not chaotic, but strong and clear. And the best part is, you do it without needing validation from anyone. Your results speak for you. Your habits are either helping you or holding you back. There is no neutral. If you don't shape them, they shape you. If you don't take control of your time will be used by everything around you. If you don't set the tone for your day, the world will do it for you. And once that happens, it's hard to stay centered. So make the decision now. Take back your focus. Take back your discipline. Not in a loud way, not in a forced way, in a steady, clear, daily way. It's easy to say you want success. It's harder to build the habits that create it. That's why so few people do it. But if you're reading this, you're not here to be average. You're here to become the kind of person who doesn't just dream, but follows through. The kind who isn't shaken by other people's opinions. The kind who doesn't fold under pressure. The kind who knows that real change comes from repeated effort, not random inspiration. So while the world scrolls, you study. While others talk, you act. While they waste time trying to look successful, you quietly build it. You know your habits are the real proof of what you value. And you value growth. You value peace. You value becoming stronger. Day by day. This isn't about being better than anyone else. This is about not wasting your potential. You were given a mind, a body, a chance. Don't throw it away for short-term comfort. Don't keep habits that keep you small. Upgrade them, all of them. Your routines, your mindset, your focus, your decisions. Treat every day like it matters, because it does. And every small upgrade is a step closer to a life that feels full, free, and fully yours. The people around you might not understand your changes. They might not see the value in getting up early, planning your day, saying no to certain things. That's fine. They don't need to understand. You do. You see the vision. You feel the shift. You know what it's costing you to stay the same. And you're no longer willing to pay that price. So make the shift. Do it quietly. Do it for you. Build habits that give you strength. Stay consistent when nobody's watching. Build a system for your life that runs even when you're tired. Because once your habits are in place, you don't need willpower every day. You just follow through. That's how you grow. Not by waiting for the world to get quiet. Not by asking others to change. But by owning your life. Starting with your habits. Ending with your results. And everything in between. Driven by quiet effort and real discipline. That's the way. That's the path. That's how you win, while everyone else is wasting time. Chapter 9. Disappear from drama and start building real results. Every moment you give to drama is a moment taken from your future. While you're caught up in arguments, distractions, gossip and emotional chaos, your goals are being left behind. The time you spend trying to fix people, defend yourself, or explain your actions to those who never understood you in the first place, none of it adds any real value to your life. The truth is, drama will always be around. Some people live for it. Some people create it. Some people can't function without it. But you're not one of them. You're here to build. You're here to improve. You're here to get results. And that means you have to leave the noise behind. You don't need to argue with anyone. You don't need to defend your path. You don't need to involve yourself in situations that bring no progress. You simply need to step away, quietly, firmly, without explanation, because the longer you stay around drama, the more it pulls you down. It eats your time. It steals your focus. It clouds your mind. And the longer you stay in it, the harder it becomes to think clearly, act wisely, and stay consistent. You start reacting instead of creating. You start focusing on what doesn't matter and forgetting what does. The real shift begins when you decide that your peace is more important than proving a point, that your focus matters more than being right, that your goals deserve more attention than someone else's opinion. That's when you take your power back. You don't need to wait for things to calm down. You need to walk away. Let people talk. Let them wonder. Let them assume. Your energy doesn't belong in every conversation. Your presence doesn't need to be in every room. Most of the drama you face isn't about you anyway. It's about other people's pain, their insecurities, their habits, their need for control. When you stop feeding it, it eventually fades. But if you keep reacting to it, it grows. You don't owe your attention to every conflict. You don't owe your thoughts to people who drain you. You owe yourself a life that feels stable, grounded, and free of chaos. You might think staying away will make people think you're cold, distant, or selfish. That's okay. Let them think what they want. You're not here to be understood by everyone. You're here to stay committed to your future. You're not here to fix what other people broke. You're here to grow, to create, and to become someone stronger. That takes a certain level of detachment. That takes boundaries. And sometimes it takes disappearing for a while to put yourself back together. In the space where drama used to live, you now have room to build. You have space to plan, to think clearly, to make decisions without being emotionally pulled in 10 directions. That space is where progress happens. It's where your next chapter begins. Not in chaos, not in confusion, in calm, focused work. It doesn't need to be shared. It doesn't need to be validated. It just needs to be done. Every quiet hour you spend building something real is a silent win. It's a victory that no argument can take away from you. Results don't come from being in every conversation. They come from staying out of the noise and focusing on what matters. It's not about being perfect. It's about being consistent, about using your time wisely, about waking up every day and asking yourself what you're building and then doing something about it. Not talking about it, not debating about it, just doing it. You don't need drama to feel alive. You don't need chaos to feel connected. If you've grown up around dysfunction, you might think conflict is normal, but it's not. Peace is normal. Stability is normal. Progress is normal. And if you've never had that before, now is the time to create it. Even if you have to do it alone for a while, focus on building real results. Track your progress, set goals and meet them, learn something new and apply it. Take care of your health, your finances, your mind. Build routines that keep you strong when emotions run high. Build structure that keeps you moving even when people try to pull you off track. Not because it's easy, but because it's worth it. And don't announce your exit from drama. Just go quietly. Stop showing up to arguments. Stop responding to negativity. Stop opening doors to conversations that lead nowhere. Let people feel what they feel. Let them carry their own reactions. You're not responsible for other people's emotional storms. You're responsible for your own direction. Keep it clean. Keep it focused. You'll notice that the less you participate in drama, the more you can actually get done. Your days feel lighter. Your thoughts become clearer. You stop second-guessing yourself. You stop being pulled into emotional traps, and you start seeing progress. Real, steady progress. Not because you got lucky, but because you stayed focused when it would have been easier to get involved in nonsense. That's what real discipline looks like. Choosing growth when chaos is easier. Choosing peace when drama is louder. Choosing focus when distraction is more tempting. You'll never regret walking away from something that doesn't serve your future, but you will regret wasting months or years caught in cycles that lead nowhere. You don't need closure for every conflict. You don't need to explain your silence. You don't need to defend your decision to protect your focus. Let your life explain it. Let your progress be the answer. Let your peace be the proof. And if that means disappearing from circles that no longer align with your direction, so be it. Sometimes the best thing you can do is become invisible to the things that once drained you. The calls, the texts, the group chats, the gossip, the fake concern. You step out quietly, not to make a statement, but to make space. You fill that space with growth, with work, with decisions that matter, with habits that improve your future, with relationships that give you strength, not stress. And slowly, you build a life that reflects your values, not your wounds. You build results that don't need defending. You build peace that doesn't get shaken every time someone disagrees with you. You build strength from the ground up, not by proving you're right, but by becoming someone who doesn't need the last word. This is the turning point. When you stop giving your energy to what drains you, and you start giving it to what builds you, that's the real shift. That's how results begin to show. That's when people who once doubted you fall silent. Not because you told them anything, but because you changed. You stopped feeding the noise. You started feeding your future. And once you make that change, you don't go back. Because you finally see the difference between surviving in chaos and thriving in purpose. And when you see that, nothing else feels worth your time. Not drama, not distractions, not petty conversations, just progress. Real, grounded, meaningful progress. The kind that only comes when you finally disappear from what's holding you back and start showing up fully for what's ahead. Chapter 10. Earn your success quietly and let it speak later. Success doesn't need a stage. It doesn't require a spotlight. It doesn't demand attention. The real kind, the kind that changes your life and gives you peace, comes from what you build when nobody's watching. It's the result of discipline, effort, patience, and choices you make day after day with no audience and no applause. While most people are busy showing off what they haven't earned, you stay grounded, you stay focused, you stay working. That's how real success is built. Quietly, internally, with deep commitment to progress, not performance. There's a time to speak and a time to stay silent. The beginning stages of building anything are best done in silence, not because you're hiding, but because you're protecting it. You're giving your energy to the work itself, not to the image of it. The world is loud. People are quick to share plans they haven't followed through on, quick to post about goals they haven't worked for, and in doing so, they exhaust themselves trying to look successful before they've even laid the foundation. Don't follow that pattern. Let the results do the talking. Earning success quietly means waking up and getting to work without needing anyone to notice. It means keeping your commitments to yourself even when no one else sees the progress. It means putting in the time when others are resting on their words. You don't talk about what you're going to do, you build it, and then it's done. And when it's done, you don't need to convince anyone. The quality speaks, the impact shows, the life you've created says everything that needs to be said. There's strength in not being seen while you're working. It teaches you to rely on effort, not recognition. It builds confidence from results, not from approval. You don't need to show people how hard you're trying. You just need to show up every day with full focus. The process might feel slow. It might feel like no one notices, but that's the test. Can you stay consistent when no one claps for you? Can you do the work when there's no praise? That's when character is built. That's when habits get stronger. That's when your future is shaped. Too often people rush to prove themselves. They want to be seen as someone who's doing well, someone who has it figured out. But the truth is, success doesn't care about image. It responds to effort. It grows in private, and the more pressure you feel to be visible, the less attention you're giving to the real task, getting better, improving your skill, tightening your routine, strengthening your mind. Quiet success is rooted in reality. It's not about proving, it's about producing. You don't need to tell people how late you're staying up to study, how early you're waking up to build, how much you've sacrificed to stay on track. All of that energy is better spent on doing the work itself. The results are coming. You just have to keep planting seeds, day by day, decision by decision, one right choice at a time. And when the time is right, when the foundation is strong, when the work has been done repeatedly and with purpose, then the results show up, and they speak louder than any post or announcement ever could. Success has its own voice. You don't need to raise yours. Let your actions speak over time. Let your consistency create the story. Let your habits define your growth. And let your discipline be the proof. No shortcuts. No need for validation. Just focus, clarity, repetition, progress. People may doubt you. They may not see what you're doing. They may not understand why you're so quiet, why you're no longer explaining yourself, why you're unavailable for the same old distractions. That's fine. You're not building for their approval. You're building because it matters. You're building because you know where you're headed. And you're building because success earned in silence is the most solid kind. No one can take it from you, because no one gave it to you. There's something powerful about not needing recognition to stay committed, about not needing to be seen in order to stay consistent. That's when you know the drive is real. That's when you know you've matured. When the goal isn't to be noticed, but to become excellent. Not to impress others, but to outgrow the old version of yourself. That's the mindset that leads to results that last. There's a peace that comes from knowing you're doing the right work, even when it's invisible to everyone else. You feel stronger. You think more clearly. You move with purpose instead of pressure, and that peace becomes your advantage. It keeps you grounded when things get hard. It reminds you that growth is happening, even when progress isn't obvious. It's not about speed. It's about direction. And if you stay on course long enough, you'll arrive somewhere few people ever do, not because they weren't capable, but because they couldn't stay quiet long enough to do the work. Let them talk. Let them post. Let them chase the next trend. You stay in your lane. You stay disciplined. You stay building. Quiet success requires inner strength. It requires saying no to shortcuts, no to validation, and yes to patience. That patience will pay you more than any quick result ever could. You earn your success in the moments when nobody is watching. When you choose to keep going, even when it feels slow. when you stay focused while others get distracted, when you work with integrity, not for show but because you know who you are. And in the end, when the results show up, they'll speak for everything you didn't say. They'll tell the story. They'll carry the weight. They'll earn the respect.